Hello, happy Friday, Tim Knight. And well, this week you could basically, it's like a perfect V. You could just cut it right in half from Monday morning until midday Wednesday. It was pretty much down all the way. And from midday Wednesday to like right this second, it was up all the way. We've had about a 200 plus point rally on the ES since then. We're going to close up for the week. And we are in the vicinity of lifetime highs. But yeah, we basically, this is like the opposite of last week, which was a shortened week. Last week, first half was not so good for me. Second half was great. And this week, exactly the opposite. Past couple of days kind of stunk. I just glanced, and of my positions, exactly half are up and half are down right now. It's a real mixed bag. But weirdly, even though today is stronger than yesterday was, I'm having a lot less bad day, at least. How's that for faint praise? But in any case, as usual, kind of housekeeping, tidying up, closing positions were necessary. But on the whole, not a lot of activity today. So let's look at the charts. There's a few general sectors that are worth checking out. First one, and I don't have much ETFs today, but I want to look at the diamonds real quick. The diamonds have still been in their uptrend. They are still below their gap. This is the only ETF position I have of any notable size, although as I say, it's not that far away from the stop loss. Backing away on this, you can see that we haven't had even a little bit of a sell-off since March. Let's just back way off here. So back to COVID times. So we had our COVID crash here. We had, I wouldn't even call it a bear market, but we had our brief drop here, which was the kind of the Powell era of raising rates. On the whole, though, it's just been one rally after another. And the sustained ones, of course, were post-COVID, which was big, post-Powell rate increase, which is really long, and then we had our tumble here with the tariff debacle, which was a very, very short-lived drop. Really just 2 or 3 trading days was the whole schmear, and then a huge rally. And the last time we had any selling more than like a day was back from around February 11 to March 30. I think those are the exact days, actually. So that was our last bout of selling. Since then, it has just been up. The lifetime high for the Dow was on Tuesday, and after tumbling on Wednesday, and that was the bottom for the week, we've been fighting back. But as I say, I'm still in the position and will be until and unless that gap is violated. I still really am focused on semiconductors and memory and South Korea. Yesterday I shorted EWY, South Korean ETF. This is down a little, 0.54% right now, which I will happily take considering the US markets are pretty much green. And here again, as long as we stay below that price gap, I am fine staying with that short. China, which I do not have a position in, has been benefiting from this new narrative, which is roughly along the lines of AI is going to be huge, but the Chinese models and offerings are much, much cheaper, and they will win in the end, and therefore don't worry about Anthropic and OpenAI, just hop over to the land of DeepSeek and other Chinese AI models. And so they have been bouncing very nicely over the past couple of weeks. But as I've said so many times, this is just another in a series of dozens and dozens of little rallies that we've seen since they topped really back in 2007, I guess. I mean, it was a long time ago that the Chinese market peaked. But in very recent history, we have had this relief rally, but it doesn't have much farther to go. Maybe it could fight its way back to that pattern. But that's probably just about it. And there are some individual Chinese stocks that are kind of interesting on the short side. BITI is one. Also, amazingly, this is actually red, barely, but it is red. And we've stayed below this resistance line, even with the enormous Chinese rally happening. Of course, since February 28th, the Saturday, when we heard the news, it's been all about the war and all about Iran. And I thought we were done with that because it was just a few weeks ago. There's like, memorandum of understanding, and everybody sort of stopped talking about it. And then a few days ago, everyone was talking about it again. But it didn't last long. The news hit, the market dropped for like a day, and that was it. And crude oil has been responding in kind because, I won't go through the whole thing again because I've talked through this so many times, that we did bottom here, closed the gap, rallied for a couple of days, and that was really it. The ceasefire was over, we rallied, and that was the end of it. And we have undone most of that rally which took place. And I would say that my energy short in XLE, I'm still in it, it's still working out. Here's XLE, and it's not a super clean pattern, but I have just tightened up the stop, and I'll just keep it. We'll just see if crude oil keeps diminishing as it had been. XOP, unfortunately, I had the right idea, but the stop was too tight on this. I shorted it on this day, but it pushed past its price gap. Let me just show you. It pushed past its price gap, which was right there. So as you can see, we did violate that gap to some degree, so I got stopped out at a loss. But the idea was right, because afterwards, it's just been sinking. But I didn't get back in again because, I just felt I'll just move on. And that's when I went to XLE. But still, it's a very pretty little right triangle pattern there. And I don't see any reason, if you're in XOP short, to bounce out of it just yet. Now, my main focus continues to be semiconductors. And today's kind of a big day because we had the biggest IPO of a foreign firm in U.S. history, which we'll get to in just a sec. So that's it's a very quiet news day, but that's the kind of big financial event. Naturally, it's taking advantage of the fact that semiconductors, remember, have been so strong since March 30 that you might as just like SpaceX nailed the time to go public. They did it beautifully well. Likewise, SK Hynix seems to have timed theirs quite well too. So SMH is up a little, 0.42%, which isn't that huge. I mean, put it this way, the ES is up more in percentage terms than the SMH. It's kind of dismal for such a hot sector, but it is up nonetheless. However, I'm watching this price level, which has been the peak for the week, and I'd appreciate if we didn't go above that. That remains to be seen. The particular instrument has been public in South Korea for years, and now it's in the US. It's one-day bar. As you can see, lots of activity, big range here. But if we get this down to, say, a 5-minute bar, you can see that it has been just sort of meandering all day. It's above the IPO price. So it is up, I don't know, like 16% or something like that from the offering price. So it's having a good day. It's not having a spectacular day, but it's going well. But obviously, it'll take months before the chart actually means anything. But I would not be surprised to see this follow the same path as, say, CBRS, which is a lot of hoopla at the IPO, and then just over the weeks just kind of slowly stumbles lower. There are individual items that I have been short, and in some cases augmented those shorts. Not all of them are down today, but on the whole they are. Here's UMC, United Micro Electronics. They're down 1 3/4%. Here's a good one, AXTI. This is down almost 10%, and that's been slipping nicely beneath that that topping pattern that I've highlighted there. Here's Lumentum. It's up fractionally for the day, but it's still a good-looking top with lots of overhead supply holding back any, I think, any price action above today's high, really. And there's Marvell, MRVL, which is down about 2 1/3%. This pushed yesterday up against that line, and we're slipping. And obviously, what I'd like to see is for it to fail this line here. That line served as support because we sealed the gap on Wednesday, And that's when I lightened up on that position on Wednesday, and I got back into it again yesterday. It's a tight little range here. But yeah, there's no greater concentration of a sector in my own portfolio than semiconductor shorts. Micron, MU, also down a little bit, 0.25%. We've got a failure of the trend line there. And just one last example, Western Digital, which is up 0.5% WDC, but it has broken its uptrend and very richly valued. And this is one of the, if memory serves, the trio of memory stocks that constituted a quarter of all the S&P 500's gains for the year were STX, SNDK, and this one, WDC. And I'm short two of those, I think. Yeah, I'm short STX and WDC. SanDisk, it's not nearly as mature a chart, so it's harder to read. So I'm not dealing with that one. As far as crypto goes, it's been frustrating. Maybe there's still hope. For the day, we peaked early today, and it has been slowly selling off today. So I actually maintained my BITI position, which I'll look at in a moment. The normal position, IBIT, which is just the regular ETF, I shorted that new today. So I've got two positions on this. So there's IBIT, there's my stop. You can see the little red bar there. So we have been, we had a strong day earlier, but it has been slowly sinking. It is up for the day, but it's definitely weaker relative to equities. And then BITI, this one down a little bit, but maybe stabilizing some. This is a tricky place because Bitcoin's worth half what it used to be. There's plenty of potential upside. I'm not going to stick around with this too long if we see it push past 65,000, but I'm going to give it a little more of a chance. MSTR strategy is also up barely. And you can see likewise, this red bar opened strong. It's been selling off today. As far as the spider in general, as I mentioned this morning, it's kind of an existential risk for any remaining bears out there because it would not take much for things to get real ugly for the bears out there if we saw more strength early next week. We are close to the top of this range, which has been in place since early May. And naturally, the vast majority of folks are buyers as opposed to shorters. And so it wouldn't take much to finally cut above that range and really get things cooking. But we're not there yet, and maybe we're just going to stay stuck in this cycle. Semiconductors continue to be a focus for me with that question because they have a big effect on the market in general. And I know this is an exaggerated illustration because it is a leveraged instrument, but KORU, which is the leveraged Korean instrument here, still looks quite bearish on a daily basis and will remain so long as it stays below this pattern that I've just highlighted. As far as SpaceX goes, and I know it's just one stock, I know it's a young stock, but it is, I think, psychologically important for the market in general because the thrill definitely has left the building. The first 3 days of the IPO were exhilarating, and now it's just sort of stumbled its way down to the high 140s. And sorry to be so repetitive, but eventually I think we'll all realize this is important. The selling hasn't even started yet because nobody can sell except for the handful of people that are trading this thing as new shareholders. So if this goes into the 130s and the 120s and so forth, I think you'll see a complete chill over the notion of like Anthropic and OpenAI coming up. Just to wrap things up, the ES, as I just said, is nearing the top of a range. And if there's more positive chatter about Iran and boosting it above that, yeah, that's bad news, bears. But I will mention before we all throw our hands up that the NQ is not near its highs. As you can see here, we're not even at the halfway point of its own range. So on a relative scale, semiconductors, memory, tech stocks, much more vulnerable to a resumption in selling.